Hey man, one of the hardest lessons men learn too late about women is that attraction and love are not the same thing. As men, we often grow up thinking that if a woman is attracted to us, if she gives us her attention, laughs at our jokes, and spends time with us, then that must mean she feels love. But attraction is fleeting, emotional, and circumstantial. It can be sparked by something as simple as a confident glance or a moment of masculine presence. Love, however, is something deeper, something built over time, rooted in respect and admiration. The tragedy is that many men confuse the two, investing their entire emotional world into a woman who was only temporarily attracted to them. They mistake that moment of attraction for something permanent, and when it fades, as it often does, they are left shattered, wondering how something that felt so real could disappear overnight. The truth is, it wasn't love, it was just attraction. And until you separate the two, you'll keep losing yourself in relationships that were never built to last. Another truth men learn too late is that women are drawn not to what you give them, but to who you are when you give it. A man can shower a woman with gifts, attention, affection, and time, but if it comes from a place of insecurity, from a desire to buy her love or approval, it repels her. On the other hand, a man can give very little, his presence, his attention in small doses, his words spoken sparingly, and it will mean the world to her if it comes from a place of confidence and strength. Women don't fall for the giving itself, they fall for the man behind the giving. If she feels your gifts and attention are desperate attempts to hold her, she loses respect. But if she feels your giving comes from abundance, that you don't need her, but choose to share with her, then suddenly she values it 10 times more. Men spend years learning this the hard way, realizing that giving everything to a woman too soon only teaches her to devalue them. A brutal lesson most men learn after heartbreak is that women don't value consistency the way men do. Men are logical creatures. We think if we show up every day, treat her well, stay loyal, and remain constant, then she should love us more and more over time. But female psychology doesn't work like that. Women crave emotional stimulation. They crave highs and lows, mystery and unpredictability. When a man is too consistent, too available, too predictable, she doesn't feel safe, she feels bored. That's why she often runs back to the man who ignores her, confuses her, and makes her wonder where she stands. Men learn too late that it's not enough to simply be there. You have to maintain that edge of mystery, that controlled scarcity, that subtle unpredictability that keeps her emotionally invested. Without it, she drifts. And the man who gave her everything watches her chase. The man who gave her just enough. Men also learn too late that women respect boundaries far more than they respect sacrifice. We are taught from a young age to be selfless in love, to put her needs above ours, to show her we care by sacrificing for her happiness. But every time a man bends his boundaries, every time he sacrifices his principles, every time he gives up his own needs to please her, she loses a piece of her attraction for him. It's counterintuitive, but true. The very sacrifices you make to win her end up destroying her respect for you. A woman may appreciate the gesture in the moment, but deep down, she doesn't admire a man who gives himself away too easily. She admires a man who knows his worth, who refuses to compromise on his standards, who will walk away rather than beg. Boundaries are the oxygen of attraction. Without them, a man suffocates in his own neediness, and she eventually leaves him, gasping for validation. And here's perhaps the most painful lesson: women don't fall in love with men, they pity. A man may think that showing vulnerability, expressing all his fears, sharing all his pain, will make her bond with him. But women are not wired to love a man they see as broken. They may nurture him, they may console him, they may even care for him like a friend or a mother figure, but they will not feel the same level of desire or respect for him. What men learn too late is that the moment a woman pities you, the dynamic shifts forever. Desire is replaced with compassion, attraction is replaced with concern, and romance is replaced with a kind of caretaking that never satisfies either side. The man wonders why she no longer looks at him the same way, why her touch feels different, why her energy has cooled. It's because in her mind he's no longer the strong presence she could lean on. He's become another emotional burden she has to carry. Another thing men learn too late is that women often test men not because they want to hurt them, but because they want to confirm their strength. These tests can come in the form of emotional games, sudden mood swings, or unreasonable demands. To the logical mind of a man, this feels manipulative, childish, and even cruel. But in her psychology, she is simply trying to measure whether the man she's with can handle her emotions without breaking. If he bends, pleads, apologizes for things he shouldn't, or gets defensive, she reads it as weakness. But if he stands calm, unshaken, firm in his frame, she feels a strange mix of safety and attraction. This is something men don't realize until after they've lost a woman they bent over backwards for. They only see later that her tests were her way of searching for certainty, for masculine grounding in a world where she often feels her own emotions spiral out of control. The man who fails the tests always ends up wondering why she lost attraction, while the man who calmly passes them without effort is the one she chases. Men also learn too late that silence is more powerful than words. A man thinks that explaining himself, pleading his case, or convincing a woman with logic will win her understanding. But words rarely fix attraction. In fact, the more a man tries to explain himself, the weaker he looks in her eyes. When she pulls away, the man who writes paragraphs of texts, who begs her to listen, who defends his actions endlessly, only proves to her that she has emotional power over him. Meanwhile, the man who withdraws into silence, who lets his absence speak louder than any explanation, creates a gravitational pull she can't ignore. Silence leaves space for her imagination to run wild, and her imagination will punish her far more than your words ever could. Men learn this lesson late, usually after they've exhausted themselves trying to fix something with conversation, only to watch her walk away colder. By then they realize that the calm silence of detachment would have done what all their explanations couldn't reignite her respect. A painful reality men realize too late is that women do not reward good intentions, they reward strong behavior. A man may think that because his heart is pure, because he genuinely loves her, because he means no harm and truly cares, she should value him more than the men who treat her poorly. But women are not drawn to intentions, they are drawn to signals. She doesn't feel your heart directly, she feels the way you act, the way you carry yourself, the energy you project. If your good intentions are paired with weak, needy behavior, she doesn't see the purity of your heart, she only sees your weakness. Meanwhile, the man with questionable intentions but strong, unapologetic behavior will ignite her emotions far more powerfully. This is why nice guys are left confused, heartbroken, and bitter, because they think women should reward kindness, when in truth, women are wired to respond to strength. Men learn too late that if their kindness isn't backed by power, it will never be respected. Another thing men learn too late is that women live far more in emotions than in facts. Men try to argue reality. I've always been loyal, I've always provided, I've never betrayed you, thinking that the facts should be enough to secure her love. But women don't measure relationships in facts, they measure them in how they feel in the moment. You can be perfect on paper, but if she doesn't feel excitement, desire, or safety with you, she won't stay. This is why so many men are blindsided when women leave them after years of stability, because they thought the record of their loyalty was enough. It wasn't. Her emotions weren't being fed. Men learn too late that you cannot argue her back into love with logic. You must create the feelings she craves, or she will look for them elsewhere. By the time this lesson is learned, the damage is usually irreversible. Finally, men learn too late that women never truly belong to them. They only stay where they feel the strongest pull. This is perhaps the hardest pill to swallow. Men are taught to believe that if you win her heart, put a ring on her finger, or commit your life to her, then she is yours. But women are not possessions. They are emotional beings, constantly shifting based on how they feel in your presence. She may vow to love you forever, but if she no longer feels that pull, she will detach, and all those promises will dissolve like smoke. The man who learns this too late clings, begs, and tries to hold on to her as if she can be owned, but the man who understands this early on knows that the only way to keep her is never to cling, but to remain the gravity she cannot escape. He knows women stay with men they cannot replace, not men who try to trap them with words or contracts. That is the difference between a man who is devastated by loss and a man who is always free, because he never believed she was his to begin with. Men also learn too late that women will always test the balance between your words and your actions. You can say you're strong, you can say you're independent, you can say you're not easily shaken, but she will test whether those words stand when pressure is applied. She might withdraw affection suddenly to see if you panic. She might provoke you with jealousy to see if you lose control. She might criticize you to see if you fold into insecurity or stay rooted in calmness. These moments aren't random. They're her unconscious way of searching for alignment. If your actions betray your words, she instantly sees through you. And here's the hard truth. Once she detects a crack in your frame, attraction drains rapidly and respect is almost impossible to rebuild. Men realize this too late, often after reacting emotionally in a way that contradicts the calm, grounded man they claim to be. They see that one slip of weakness can undo months of consistency. It's a brutal but necessary lesson. Women don't listen to your speeches, they watch your composure. Another truth men learn too late is that women are addicted to mystery, not certainty. A man who reveals everything about himself too quickly, who lays out every detail of his life, every thought, every insecurity, every plan, thinks he's building intimacy. But in her psychology, he's draining the excitement. Desire feeds on tension, on not knowing everything, on a man who has layers she hasn't uncovered yet. When you hand over the full map of who you are, she loses the thrill of exploration. That's why so many men get confused when women say, "I feel like I know you too well, and I'm not attracted anymore." It's not that familiarity killed the love, it's that overexposure killed the mystery. Men only realize after losing her, that mystery is not about lying or hiding, but about maintaining depth, about never being fully figured out. They learn too late that a woman wants to always feel like there's more to discover in you, more to unlock, more to earn. Without mystery, attraction dies a slow, quiet death. Men also learn too late that attention is not the same as affection. They believe that giving her constant attention, texting all day, checking in frequently, praising her endlessly, proves their love. But women don't crave constant attention, they crave quality attention. If your attention is abundant and easy to get, she devalues it. It becomes background noise, like the hum of a refrigerator, always present but barely noticed. But when your attention is rare, selective, and meaningful, it carries weight. A single glance, a single compliment, a single hour of focused presence becomes powerful because it is scarce. Men learn this after drowning women in endless texts, endless praise, endless validation, only to watch her drift away to a man who gives her far less but makes her feel far more. They realize too late that attention without scarcity is worthless, and that the most attractive men are those who give attention sparingly, in doses that keep her craving more. Another late lesson men learn is that women often confuse comfort with boredom, and once boredom sets in, she begins to sabotage. Many men believe that if they provide stability, safety, and routine, a woman will stay loyal forever. But women are wired to seek emotional highs, to crave waves of tension and release, to feel alive in love, not just safe. If your relationship becomes predictable, if every day feels the same, if your love feels more like comfort than fire, she will begin to unconsciously stir conflict just to feel something again. She may pick fights, withdraw intimacy, or flirt with chaos outside the relationship. Men usually realize this too late, when they're blindsided by her claim that she just doesn't feel it anymore. They don't see that it wasn't lack of love, but lack of emotional energy. The lesson is hard, but essential. Women stay with men who can give them both comfort and chaos, safety and excitement. Without both, she will eventually break the peace just to remember what desire feels like. Finally, men learn too late that women will always choose how you make them feel over everything you've done for them. You can pay her bills, buy her gifts, be loyal, be present, sacrifice for her, but if she no longer feels desired, if she no longer feels emotionally lit up in your presence, she will leave all of that behind. Men waste years giving and giving, thinking their sacrifices will build permanent loyalty, only to discover she can walk away without hesitation the moment the feelings die. It's a cruel awakening, because men love through logic, memory, and investment. But women love through emotion, sensation, and presence. And when that emotional spark is gone, she can look at everything you've done and feel nothing. That's why men, often too late, realize that the key is not to endlessly give, but to maintain the polarity, the tension, the masculine presence that keeps her emotions alive. Without that, all your giving only builds entitlement, not devotion. Men learn too late that women don't fall for who you are on paper. They fall for who you are in the moment. You could have the best resume, the strongest bank account, the most impressive achievements, but if in the present moment you lack masculine calm, presence, and confidence, none of that matters. She doesn't feel turned on by your trophies. She feels turned on by your energy right now. And this is where men fail, because they lean too heavily on their history. I've always been there for her. I've always provided. I've always proven my loyalty. But attraction is not a museum. She's not admiring your past exhibits. She's looking for the fire of your energy in this exact second. Men realize this truth too late, when they lose her despite years of investment, all because their presence faded. They discover that consistency is not about repeating past behaviors, but about renewing your energy daily. A man who can make her feel something new each day, who can stay unpredictable in his presence, will always outshine the man who relies on his past. Another brutal lesson men learn too late is that women interpret your silence differently depending on how she feels about you. When she's attracted to you, your silence drives her crazy in the best way. She wonders what you're thinking. She yearns for your validation. She leans in closer. But when she's lost attraction, that same silence feels cold, distant, even disrespectful. Men don't understand this at first, because they believe silence is neutral. But with women, nothing is neutral. Everything either fuels attraction or drains it. That's why men who think playing it cool will always work often get shocked when silence pushes her further away. Silence is only powerful if she already values your attention. Once she stops valuing it, your silence doesn't feel like mystery. It feels like indifference. Men learn this too late, usually when they try to reassert power after she's already lost interest. The lesson is clear. Silence is a weapon, but it only cuts deep if desire is alive. Otherwise, it's just empty space. Men also learn too late that women crave to be led emotionally, not logically. A man thinks he can win her by explaining, debating, convincing, showing her why he's right and why she should appreciate him. But women don't submit to logic. They submit to emotional experience. She doesn't want a lecture. She wants to feel your presence guiding her, your confidence directing the energy, your masculine calm setting the rhythm. When a man argues too much, he unconsciously places her in the masculine role, the role of logic, dominance, and decision-making. And nothing dries attraction faster than making her feel like she has to lead the dynamic. Men only realize this too late, after long arguments that solved nothing but killed the vibe. They realize that what wins her is not proving points, but holding frame. When you stop trying to convince and instead embody strength, she feels it in her nervous system, and that's when she softens, follows, and surrenders to the connection. Another late lesson is that women are emotional mirrors. They reflect back the energy you bring into the interaction. If you're anxious, she becomes distant. If you're needy, she becomes cold. If you're calm, she becomes playful. If you're mysterious, she becomes curious. Many men make the mistake of blaming women for being unpredictable, when in reality she is reacting to the vibe he sets. Men don't realize this until after countless relationships, when they finally start to notice the pattern. Every time they lost control of their emotions, she shifted. Every time they held calm authority, she opened up. Women are emotional amplifiers. They don't create the signal, they magnify it. And men often learn too late that the secret is not to control her, but to control themselves. The man who can master his internal state controls the entire interaction without saying a word. And perhaps the hardest truth men learn too late is that women rarely forgive weakness. They might forgive mistakes, they might forgive anger, they might forgive distance, but weakness is almost always the death of attraction. When a man collapses emotionally, when he begs, when he loses composure, when he shows that her approval means more to him than his own self-respect, something inside her shifts permanently. She can feel pity, she can feel guilt, but respect evaporates. And without respect, attraction cannot survive. Men often realize this only after humiliating themselves in desperation, sending endless texts, crying in her arms, pleading for another chance. They wake up later, horrified at how far they fell, and see that she could never look at them the same again. It's a devastating lesson, but one that transforms a man. Once you understand that women can accept almost anything but weakness, you start to guard your strength as sacred. You stop giving it away cheaply, and you realize that your composure is the most attractive thing you will ever own. Men learn too late that women don't leave suddenly. They detach in stages, little by little, until there's nothing left to save. Most men think betrayal happens in a single moment, like she wakes up one day and decides to walk away. But the truth is, she's been leaving for months, maybe even years. She stops sharing her day. She stops looking at you the same way. She laughs less at your jokes. She becomes more interested in her phone than in your presence. These are the quiet deaths of attraction, and men don't notice because they're too busy assuming things are stable. Women don't abandon men overnight. They test, they observe, they withdraw, until finally, you're no longer the man she once admired. By the time you realize it, she's already emotionally gone, and no amount of begging will bring her back. Men learn this lesson, painfully late, that relationships don't explode, they erode. And the erosion always begins the moment you stop holding the masculine frame that made her want you in the first place. Men also learn too late that a woman's attention is never free. Every smile, every glance, every laugh she shares is part of a deeper exchange. Some men think they can casually soak in female attention without consequence, but the truth is, attention is a form of currency in her world. When you give her yours too freely, she spends it recklessly, devalues it, and quickly becomes bored. But when you guard it, when you give it sparingly and with intention, it becomes gold in her eyes. Many men discover this after years of overinvesting, after blowing up her phone, always being available, always prioritizing her above themselves. They later look back and see how much they cheapened their own value by throwing their attention around like loose change. Only too late do they learn that the men who hold their attention like a rare jewel are the ones women obsess over. Your attention is not a gift, it is the very essence of your masculine power. Once you realize that, you stop giving it to anyone who hasn't earned it. Another brutal lesson men learn too late is that desire and love are not the same. A woman can love you deeply, but no longer desire you. She can care about your well-being, want the best for you, even feel nostalgic for your history together, but that doesn't mean she feels the fire of attraction. Many men confuse the two, thinking love will protect them from losing her. But love without desire becomes a friendship, and no man who started as a lover wants to end as just a friend. Men learn this the hard way when they watch the woman who loved them so much walk away into the arms of a man she barely knows, simply because that man awakened her desire. It's a gut-wrenching realization. Love alone is not enough to keep her. She needs to feel that electric pulse of wanting you, of craving you. Men discover this too late, after trying to secure relationships with loyalty and stability, forgetting that stability without desire is just comfort, and comfort always gets replaced by chaos when her emotions hunger for more. Men eventually realize, often too late, that women do not crave perfection, they crave polarity. You can try to be the perfect man, polite, generous, supportive, understanding, always there when she calls. But perfection is boring. She doesn't want a flawless man. She wants a man who makes her feel alive. Polarity is the dance of masculine and feminine energies colliding, his stillness against her storm, his control against her chaos, his mystery against her curiosity. Men who try to smooth out all conflict, to keep everything safe and pleasant, find themselves abandoned for men who stir her emotions, even in dangerous ways. This is why so many good men lose women to reckless, unpredictable, even toxic men. Not because women don't know better, but because those men create emotional polarity that she cannot resist. Men realize too late that perfection was never the goal. Polarity was. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs you to be powerful. And perhaps the most painful lesson of all, men learn too late that women don't miss them for who they were. They miss them for how they made them feel. After a breakup, men sit there obsessing over their qualities, their sacrifices, their loyalty, their history, believing those things will bring her back. But when she looks back, she isn't remembering the vacations, the gifts, or the long talks. She's remembering the feeling she had when she looked at you at your strongest. She's remembering the butterflies, the security, the thrill of being wanted by a man who held himself like no one else could touch him. That's what she misses, not you, but the feeling of you. Men realize this too late, after they've already lost themselves trying to please her, trying to earn her back, trying to become what they think she wanted. But if you want her to truly regret losing you, you must return to the man who made her feel in the first place. Not by chasing her, but by building yourself so strong she can't ignore the echo of what she once felt. That's the lesson. Women don't come back for memories, they come back for emotions, and emotions only follow strength.